Hello guys, Griffin Endurance here and welcome to my Game Per Week Challenge video 2019. So this March marked the end of my first year of playing around with Unity Engine, so as the title of this video would suggest, I decided to take on a little challenge to see how much my workflow had increased and generally what I'd learned over the past year. I hope you enjoyed this video, and all of the challenge games in this video will be available for download on my website. Just look for the link in the description below. So the Game Per Week challenge, the rules were simple: 7 days to make a game, any game, and see how much I could get done. Now originally I had my eyes set on 4 games, but was only able to make 3 due to some other time constraints. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. So for the first week I decided to keep designing to a minimum by trying to recreate part of another game to see how much I could get done. I chose the old N64 title Perfect Dark, and more specifically decided to focus on the firing range area from the Carrington Institute. For those not familiar with Perfect Dark, you had the option to exit out of the main menu screen and explore the Institute as like a training area. The Institute has a ton of mini games, and one of those games was the firing range, where you could unlock gold, silver and bronze medals for each of the weapons in the game. Now this game actually took 8 days instead of 7 because I delayed starting the next game by a few days and wanted to make some custom covers of the music from Perfect Dark for my version. I completed 3 music tracks in about 6 hours, so it wasn't too much extra time put in. The game hit 2 of the 3 main milestones that I had laid out for it, so that wasn't too bad, but it does have a very primitive menu system, a ton of bugs, and only 1 weapon and 1 difficulty mode, which was a big shame as milestone 3 would have been to add another 3 weapons. Anyway, let's take a look. The game starts with the intro and a slow-paced cover of the Perfect Dark theme Alien Conflict. We then hear the voices of Lawrence Foster and Joanna Dark from the game to finish off the intro.
A star agent.
Hiya.
I've zeroed the sights. The rest is up to you. I'm expecting a good show. Don't let me down.
At this point we have free roam to walk about and have to press the escape key to bring up the game's menu. We see a very simplistic version of the Perfect Dark menu and of course a cover of the menu theme. Selecting the play button takes us straight to the Falcon 2 Bronze Challenge, which is incredibly easy. There are different points for hitting different parts of the target, and the point limit is so low you can pretty much get it with 1.5 targets. Once done, we get a results screen similar to the original and just press enter to return to the main menu, where we can exit the game, start again or close the menu and continue to walk around our small area. Originally I started by ripping the models and locations from the original game and then slowly replacing them one at a time, but I still have some of the original models like the computer. Of course the room shape of the firing range remained the same, with just more detail and a more sort of blue and grey colour scheme being added. The Falcon 2 was modelled based around original concept art for the game, the low poly model that's in the game, and some fan produced art based around the Falcon 2. Here's a comparison of the original game footage.
A star agent.
Hi.
I've zeroed the sights. The rest is up to you.
Okay, you did see that right. I'm going to present my week 3 project before the week 2 project. Week 3 was about making a small racing game. I decided to go with a sci-fi setting and a hovercar design. Sadly, this project barely achieved just the first milestone, which makes it the least complete project I made for this challenge. It did take precisely 7 days, but work was slowed down by graphical problems, in particular shadows glitching out. The idea was to have some AI cars as well, and it was going to be lap and environmental hazard based, with the possibility of including weapons later on. You would travel around the track through different biomes that would pose different environmental hazards that could slow you down. Unfortunately, I was only able to get a basic car working, to which I didn't even complete texturing the model, as well as a basic course and load of colony assets that could be used to populate the finish line. Sadly, there really isn't much gameplay to this at all you can do is drive around a little map and fall off the edge. The Week 2 project is an FPS puzzle game that was going to be a lot harder to work on, as I only had 4 days for this project instead of 7, so I decided to work on something that specifically played to my strengths. At the end of those 4 days, I realised that I had achieved pretty much all of my milestones and was very close to completing the game as I had designed it. This is when I decided to spend a second week on it to finish it off for use as a rapid prototype. A near complete game with menu, complete gameplay and some polishing in only 11 days. You essentially play as a character locked in an underground utility area and have to solve a series of simple puzzles in order to escape. The game has a basic inventory system, death events, items that can be collected and used to progress, keypad, padlock, a flashlight, readable documents, and a ranking system that allows you to see how well you ranked and how quickly you were able to escape. It comes complete with sounds, effects and post-processing to make it look a little nicer. After testing it thoroughly, it also has very few bugs. Now, I'm not going to show off the full puzzle solution with this game so you can play and work it out for yourselves, but largely I think it turned out quite good, especially for such a quickly put together little game. There are tons of assets, including details like little boxes and light switches on the walls or power outlets, cupboards full of junk, as well as larger objects, so it has quite a high finish to it. This project single-handedly advanced my knowledge of Unity substantially. Utility will stand as a prototype game and will most likely represent the basis of a future commercial project for me, as I was surprised at just how quickly it came together. It isn't, however, complete. For example, there is a button on the main menu for instructions on how to play, but I ran out of time to write that in. There are also a lot of things I would like to re-implement, as I wasn't happy with the stability of them. For example, it is possible to break the puzzle so you can't finish it, but only under certain extreme circumstances. Most players shouldn't accidentally do it, and there are 3 workarounds scripted into the game that will help prevent it from happening. Unity's animator is actually really quite useful if you don't want to script certain timed events. It can toggle on and off variables inside scripts or even run script functions at the correct time, which means you don't have to use coroutines, which is one of the more common scripting methods. I also learned that in weapons, using the animator to determine the state of the weapon is not a good idea, as I had to purposefully prevent the player from firing at their own click rate due to issues with animations, so it is quite buggy there. But at the end of the day, you don't know how well something is going to work until you try it. Shooting can be done in a very similar way to a use or interact function using raycasts. Just make sure to apply a raycast layer variable that will allow you to toggle off the player's collision mesh, otherwise, like in this game, you can actually shoot your own collision mesh. For light meshes that turn on and off, so for example a lamp that has a lit model and an unlit model, turning off the object's renderer works much better than activating or deactivating the actual game objects. Unity is quite the pain in the arse when it comes to lighting and shadows. Getting the game to look exactly how I want it to is still very difficult for me, as I'm yet to find some settings that deliver a balanced quality for my projects. Every time I add something substantial to a scene, I normally have to go back into lighting and graphics settings to fix issues, which reduces the time I have to work on the actual game assets and code. This is the main reason I didn't achieve anywhere near as much with this project as I did with the others. Big, open environments are clearly not my strong point. Well, obviously it was 11 days, not 7, but I did learn a lot from this game, especially when stacked up against the other games I worked on. Creating a game based on a modern day real environment shaves a lot of time off of the design phase. Sci-fi, fantasy and cartoon styles can lead you to spend more time focusing on how something looks, and not enough time on actual gameplay or ambience of the game. A good example would be how this game stacks up against the third game, which had a sci-fi setting. I spent 2 days on that game just on the design of various assets when I was able to start work on utility in just a few hours. I learned a ton about scripting one-time use entities for puzzles, inventories, interactive screens like the padlock screen, and turning lights and objects on and off. I made a game that was big and complex enough that I was able to learn how to make a separate main menu with a loading screen, result screen, as well as a quick game screen. These are all things I'd never really done before, and when you compare that to the simple menu from week 1, you can see I was really on a roll with this game. I also learned how to solve some of the problems from week 1 and other past projects. I learned a lot from all 3 projects in this challenge and will certainly be looking to do more in the future. Next time I may do a game in 2 weeks challenge or 1 game in a month challenge to see how much I can get done. But for the meantime I have a nice long list of things I want to work with and learn. Overall, I'm happy with the results demonstrating 12 months of learning with this engine and can't wait to see what March's 2020 challenge would look like. If you want to take a look at these games, there's a link in the description below and I would be happy to hear any feedback about them. Anyway, thanks for watching, have fun.